Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Happiness Retreat. I am your host, Kimberly Treves, and today we have the good fortune to be in conversation with my dear friend and colleague, the beautiful and multi-talented Greta Hough, who is a creator of the Alchemy Wheel for teens and adults, an educator, a restorative practices teacher, a retreat facilitator, a certified energy medicine practitioner, and an all-round expert in the realm of all things spiritual. Hello, Greta, and thank you so much for taking time today to talk with us.
Thank you, Kim. It's an honor and a really great, beautiful opportunity to be with you. It's always great to see you, and just to be given the space to share, what I've been up to over the last few years and how it's impacted kiddos and adults the same.
I'm so thrilled and excited about it as well. So as this conversation is all about spirituality and the soul and how to master your own energy, I'm so happy you're here with us to tell us about the Alchemy Wheel and how it is a vehicle for transformation. So can we start at the beginning? And can you please tell us a little bit about your background, your education, and what prompted you to become interested in energy healing and creating this program?
Yep, you got it. So I've been an educator 20 years, and I started out in elementary, and I moved quickly into middle school, and I just love working with that age, between 12 and 15, 16. I love the teenagers. And so I mainly have taught English all those years, and I moved just the last few years into a restorative practices teacher. And, inside of my English classrooms, when you teach English, you really look at like themes and messages, and you really dive deep into conversations, and a lot gets brought up, and it's kind of like when I look back at the last decade of teaching English, and the relationships that get created in the classroom and in the communities you work in, it's like the Alchemy Wheel and the curriculum was like percolating in the classroom, in the back of my mind almost, and came out, years later when I designed it finally. And then, it was, I think, around my 16th, 17th year of education that I decided to leave for a few years. And I ended up working in holistic treatment in Sedona, Arizona, which was really an amazing learning experience. And I started to go to school for energy medicine. And, I always tell people, I have a lot of healing background and my personal wisdom, in the areas of grief and trauma and addiction. And so, I've done a lot of work in those areas to really heal myself. And it's been really powerful work. And I've really pulled from a lot of different types of healing modalities. And I saw the progress and the potency of doing that type of work. And so, inside of the curriculum that I developed, there's lots of touches on all different types of ways to heal, which, is really unique for a social emotional learning curriculum.
So you brought this curriculum into school as part of the mainstream school day, or was this an addition?
So, it's been really interesting because I still feel I'm like very grassroots, but so it started out actually, it was like I still had one foot, in the classroom teaching English, and then I had another foot, out in, starting to do energy medicine sessions, because I ended up getting certified at the Four Winds School. And so the Alchemy Wheel originally started just for teens, and it was really a summer camp. And so that's where it began. And then from there, I collect a lot of data. I love producing results and looking at, where kids and adults are in the beginning of a journey and then where they end. So I do a lot of collecting of data. And so after I started to do the summer camps, I was kind of sharing some of my work with some of the administration here at my school that I'm currently at, excuse me. And they were really inspired. They were like, this is really awesome work, right? And so I was given the opportunity to run an after school program, right? So then I did that. So it was like, we had a group after school. And then that was really cool to do. And then inside of that, it was like, I don't know, it was like 6 months. And it was like, all of a sudden I was creating a full advisory curriculum, which an advisory is very similar to like a seminar class. It's kind of a workshop.
Mm-hmm.
And those are like inside of the school day. So I went ahead, I created a whole advisory curriculum, and I haven't done a whole lot with it yet. So, you know, again, it's like, it's still very grassroots, but it is complete and close to being ready. So I did that, and then continue, you know, doing the summer camps and offering those. And then it was like, adults kept, you know, reaching out to me, you know, this is really inspiring. I would love to do this work personally for myself. Do you do anything with adults? I'm like, no, you know, I do energy work with adults, and I just kind of kept, you know, I kept feeling like, oh, you know, my vision is really just for the teens. And I gotta say, you know, my journey has very much been about following the signs, right? Following the closed doors, following the open doors, and paying attention to all that. And you know, adults continue to reach out to me. People were interested in taking the wheel. So I said, okay, you know, so then it was like, then I started to work on tailoring it for adults. And so that's sort of how it's becoming that. And then from there, just last year, the school that I am currently at here in Santa Fe, the middle school I work at, the admin approached me and said, you know, what do you think about taking a group of teachers around the wheel? So I was like, oh my, you know, and I stepped in, you know, and I really looked at, okay, so how could I tailor it to work with teachers? And then what would the impact of that be, right? So like, how could the teachers take the tools of the course and bring that into their, not only their classrooms, but into their lives? So I just did that for the first time a few months ago, and it was just really, really powerful. So a lot's been really opening up with the possibility of what the Alchemy Wheel offers and who it's for. So it's really exciting.
Wow. So
Yeah.
so I just can't wait to take it. That's all I have to say. Okay. So aside from that, can you give us a flavor of what are the components of the Alchemy Wheel? What would one expect if they went around the Alchemy Wheel with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I just get excited talking about it because I just love the work that gets done, you know, and the things that get accomplished. So the Alchemy Wheel, the energetics of the Alchemy Wheel is really about invoking consciousness, right? Expanding our consciousness, and that can look a lot of different ways. It's about awakening the heart, right? Doing that heart work that can often be really vulnerable to do, right? So it's invoking consciousness, it's awakening the heart. And then the third piece is building inner resilience, you know. And when I look at my own life, and I, you know, I've been working with teens for many, many years now. And it's like, you know, you always see, right, that we need to be strong, you know, and we need to know how to navigate, right, our lives, because it's not always easy and it's not always smooth. And there's lots of things that we experience, you know, whether it's, you know, family issues or, you know, self-love issues or addiction or loss. And, you know, I realized that, you know, this is really, really important work. And yeah.
So I see there's some workbooks behind you.
Yes.
Is that what one would go through? Is that an Alchemy Wheel class?
So I actually have a lot of different versions. So I have like the 5-day camp workbook for students, and then I have, you know, the after school program, and then I have teacher guides. So this big fat guy here is actually the advisory curriculum, and this is the actual teacher guide. So, and then yes, I have workbooks.
Okay.
You know, the interesting thing, Kim, and I just want to say this because I actually forgot when I was thinking about this interview, and it just popped in my mind. When I was creating the curriculum, I originally thought that I was going to only create it for me to teach. And as I started to design the course, there was something, you know, and I would say it was probably spirit, right? But it was like, there was something that said, you're going to write this not only for you. And I didn't know how, and I still don't know how that's supposed to look, but I have the teacher's guides, right?
Okay.
So I wrote it in a way that eventually, like somewhere out in the future, you know, there would be some way that teachers would go through a training and be able to bring this into their school.
That is so beautiful.
And that is actually, I know we didn't get to this question, but that's really, I do feel that way now that I've had some years to teach it and be with it. I do feel that out there in the future, there is going to be some type of training where, either a school can have a few teachers go through, or an area of the country, right? A couple schools, and teachers get trained so that they can teach the Alchemy Wheel. So that's kind of like far out there, and it keeps expanding. But to go back to your other question, you did ask me, what are the key parts of the course? Mm-hmm. So, basically in a nutshell, you go around, whether you're a teacher or you're an adult or you're a teen, you go around a wheel, and I call it the Alchemy Wheel. And so you move around directions. So you start in the south and you move to the west, like you're following a compass. Mm-hmm. And there's specific activities and energetics to each direction. So for instance, in the south, you look at beliefs. You look at how beliefs can sometimes be limiting in our life, and then they become blocks. But we walk through our life like they're the truth. And then they leave no space for anything to change. And so there's a lot of work around releasing beliefs, creating new beliefs, really stepping into, wow, I do create my reality. On some level, we co-create, right? We co-create with spirit. But so that's like a lot of the work we do in the South. We also look at stories, the stories that we've told ourselves, the stories we tell about others. And are those stories, I call them contamination stories, but are those stories, rising us up, or are they contaminating us, right? We also do a lot of work around building traits of resilience. Why is it important to be resilient? And then resiliency doesn't mean we muscle through. It's not put your boots on, tie them tight, and just get on through it, right? Mm-hmm. It's a softer version of that, right? It's giving ourselves permission, but also at the same time, not shutting down, right? So we do a lot of work with building resilience. And then, after you go through the South, and we do also a lot of ceremony. So at the end of each direction, and there's a lot of different things that get accomplished in each direction, we do ceremony, because ceremony, and I teach this in my course, that it's really about, I mean business, and I want to integrate what I've done, right? And it's a way to honor. So there's a lot of different fun things, and with like the teenagers, even with the adults, there's a lot of fun little engaging activities. We do fire ceremony. The kids freaking love that. So then after the South, we move into the West, and the West is all about integration. And it's about, when we get out of alignment, when our head and our heart are out of alignment, where does addiction come from? Where does these feelings of depression or anxiety, right? We're out of balance, right? So we do a lot of work with the shadow. And I really teach, it's important not just to notice our shadow pieces, but also to notice our beautiful light pieces. And I call that our essence, right? So we do a lot of work around that. We look at energy and momentum tunnels in the West, and how energy collects. We do a lot of looking at, what is the energy body, and how does energy work, right? Everything's energy. And my partner, Three Trees, who is a master sound healer, who you also know, he, a year ago, just decided to come in and partner with me and co-facilitate the Alchemy Wheel. And it is just next level, because he brings in that drum medicine. And so he teaches the kids, how to move energy with the drum, and when you're angry or tired, and he, really teaches them how to use it as a tool, So, and also a lot of, they do a lot of fun things with the drum. And so it's really taken my course to another level. So I just feel so grateful. I mean, yes, that he's my partner in relationship, but also that he's co-facilitating the wheel. And then in the north direction of the wheel, you look at a lot of relationship stuff. So you look at, where are, in your life, what relationships need to be honored or let go of? Where do we need to say thank you when we haven't? Where do we need to say I love you? Withheld communications. We also do a lot of practice with mindfulness and meditation in the course, and learning remembering how to find that still sweet spot within ourselves. It's always there. We just have to tap in. And then we also, in the east direction, do a lot of investigating about perspective and the things that we make up and how that gets in the way, and that kind of connects back to the south. Mm-hmm. So I know I'm out of breath, because there's just so much that gets covered throughout the course. And it's really cool. I've designed it in a way where it's like, from doing a 5-day camp, you know, there's certain ways that the activities look. And then, with the seminar or an advisory class, it's like, it's all stretched out in longer conversations. So it's really cool too, to kind of experience the different ways to teach it even.
Wow. So, okay, so you've given us the how and you've given us the why. Now let's talk about the what. What happens? What transformations for the student individually, for the adult individually, for the classroom, for the teacher in the classroom? What kind of transformations have you had the honor to facilitate and the pleasure to see happen?
Yeah. So much. Goodness, when I think of my kiddos, let's start with the kiddos. Well, like I said earlier, I do a lot of collecting data in the very beginning, and I just kind of ask them, like, where do they see themselves on a resiliency scale?
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes when I sit with some of the numbers in the beginning, my eyes get teared up because I'm like, man, there's like, yeah, we got some work to do. This is where people are at. I ask them about, do you feel you have tools to manage anxiety, depression, grief? Do you feel you have some tools, right?
Mm-hmm.
I ask them about how they feel connected to themselves. Do they feel like they can use their voice? Do they feel hopeful about life? So there's a lot of different questions that I ask them, and it is extraordinary to see where they end up at the end. I mean, it is, kids work on the anger with their parents. They work on the lack of self-love within themselves. They learn, all these different tools throughout the course to manage energy and manage emotions. I mean, who doesn't need that? I still need that, right?
Every adult I know needs that.
Yeah. So, a lot gets done. And it's just, it's cool. I did a camp. I forgot to mention, I started to do the online workshops in Three Trees, and I did our first online camp this summer. And the very last day we had an acknowledgement, section where, family members, parents, and guardians could come and, share. And it was just, it's like, wow. So, and as far as adults, I haven't taken a lot of adults through. We did 2 groups, and, I mentioned the teachers.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting, Kim, the adults get the same experience. They work with forgiveness. They look at how the lack of forgiveness holds them back, right? And it's just really all about like getting empowered and getting free, you know what I mean? And freeing yourself up, and, working with the drum, and what does that feel like? And bringing something, fire ceremony is something that, it's like a cellular memory. I mean, we did that, right? Tens of thousands of years. And it's like, you get around a fire and a drum, and we remember,
Yeah.
So, and then as far as the teachers, I mean, I'm very excited. I've only taught, I've only taken 1 group through so far, and I'm really excited to do that again. And me being in the restorative practices position that I'm in, it's really great because that work is really coupled with the Alchemy Wheel. Because restorative justice, restorative practices, it's bringing everyone together. It's about repairing the harm. It's about, what got in the way. You're not a terrible person. We don't have to carry shame and guilt. That's going to get us nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
And, how can we fix the break, the tear, and it's beautiful. I love doing that work. So it's interesting how I naturally went from English teacher, and then I just like went into the restorative position, and then I'm still working with my Alchemy Wheel. So it's great. So with the teachers, we kind of couple both conversations, and we bring the conversations of like, how do you deal with not just the kid that's reacting in the classroom that's really aggravating you, but how do you deal with you, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so when we pause, when we step back, and we, when we can be humble enough to say, my God, I actually was raising my voice, and that may have triggered the kiddo, and being able to say that and clean things up and build that muscle. I tell my kids when I'm teaching them, you want to build the muscle in. It's, I'm sorry, what, my bad. I didn't mean it, and so it's really, really wonderful. And I just love it. I love working with the teens. I am surprised that I love it so much working with the adults and the teachers, because I really, like I said, was so focused, and I thought the course was going to only be for teens, so a lot is really opening up.
It sounds and feels to me that if a classroom of children goes through this course together, even if it's for an afternoon, that you're shifting the entire dynamic of the classroom from that moment forward.
Yeah.
And the teacher, whether the teacher was in the class or not, is automatically going to start shifting with the class, and the children are going to bring that home, and their parents are going to see how the children are shifting, and it's going to just automatically shift the relationship with the parents.
Yep.
And it actually sounds like these children are going to grow up and be real human life skilled parents.
Well, Kim, you know how healing works, right? It's
Yeah.
like we do the work and then the family heals.
Yeah.
In my training, somewhere along the line, I heard, I can't remember from who, but it was like, when we heal, and I tell clients this all the time, and it's just so, when we heal forward and backward in time.
Right.
How beautiful is that, right? So absolutely. I mean, everything's energy. And so when you have a kid that's going through a course like this, and absolutely they impact the relationships at home, even if it's in small ways, and the biggest thing really is that they really get to clear away, right, at such a young age, clear away stuff that's holding them back, so that they can go follow their dreams, so that they can go after what they really want, so that they can speak up and set boundaries, so
yeah. It's stunning. So we focused a lot on the wheel and in school, and not everybody lives in Santa Fe, and not everybody's a teenager. So I'm sure there are a lot of folks who would love to know, what other offerings do you have? What kind of support what are the support platforms? What are the programs? How do they get to work with you?
So, yeah, I do actually do other things. So I am also a shamanic energy practitioner. So I do see clients, and I do also do distance work, over the phone. And I've been doing that for the last few years. And I love that too. That's also something I'm very, very passionate about. And you can find a lot of information about that on my website. Go ahead.
I was going to say, for the people that don't know what shamanic healing is, what is it? Talk therapy? What is it? What's it all about?
And, it's funny. It's a great question. And I can't tell you how many times I've thought about, how do you really define shamanic, right? Yeah. Because some people have just all these different ideas in their mind about what it is, and I like to describe shamanism, and I know other people have a much more in-depth definition. It's earth-based medicine. It's really earth-based. So I work with a lot of the elements. So I work with, water and fire, right, in the air. And, I really like to describe it. It's hard to define what shamanic is. But I work with rattles and drums, and I do work with crystals, and, I work with the energy body. So I work with the chakra system, and I work with a lot of, writing out stories, and just getting into the story of the soul, right? Because we don't sing our song of the soul, right? When we don't sing our song of the soul. So, there's a lot of work around the soul, and following signs, and tuning into our own personal journeys. I like to call our journeys like our personal legends. I read a book many years ago that was called The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, and it's one of my faves. And it really impacted me. And it was like, out of that, reading that book, and then also seeing what the kids needed in my classroom for years and years, and the things they wanted to talk about. It's like that was, what happened before I actually designed the Alchemy Wheel. So yeah, that's kind of like a general definition.
Okay. So if someone wanted to do a shamanic session with you? I know, we're going to provide the website and all of that, but would it be a one-on-one? Would it be a family thing? How does that?
That's a great question. So, so yes, they are one-on-one.
Okay.
But I also do ceremonies that are called despacho ceremonies, where you build like a prayer mandala offering together, and they are so powerful. And you can find information about those on my website. And that's something that you would do as a group. So sometimes I'll host workshops for those, or I'll work with a family that wants to, heal around different topics. And so, yeah, but my energy sessions are, yes, they are one-on-one.
Okay, so we have shamanic sessions, we have despachos, we have what else? Retreats, I believe.
Yep. So I also host with my partner 3 Trees retreats, healing retreats, and they are really a lot of fun. There's a lot that happens, and the cool thing is, so 3 Trees being a master sound healer and also a teacher, and also someone who leads all kinds, does sound healing sessions and different retreats and things he's done those in the past. So he brings that medicine, and then I bring in some of the Alchemy Wheel is in the retreat. And then, some of the things that I've worked with over the years that have made a huge impact on me, inside of energy medicine. And so there's a lot that gets covered in those retreats. And there's a little bit of sound medicine. There's medicine wheel work. There is some soul retrieval work. And there's a lot of reflection work and, talking about restorative, stuff. They're really potent. Yeah. So it's like a mixture of stuff. And we just started hosting those together, and we're loving that. So we're pretty busy over here.
I need to move near you. That's all I know. I want to do every single thing you offer.
It's a lot of fun. I'll tell you what, if you would have asked me 5 years ago if this is what my life would have looked like, I would
have no idea,
because my journey there was so much loss and grief, and a lot of following the heart, which means that you leave the old roles behind. My life before, it's interesting when I look back, I was like literally at the top of my game in my teaching career, and I decided that I was going to shift gears, but so much opened up. I mean, I wouldn't take any of it back, right? Yeah. So it's been a beautiful, beautiful journey. Lots of twists and turns, and it has not been easy, but it has been a lot of fun. And I feel like it's finally, although I'm still busy, it's finally gotten to a place where it's like, wow, I can exhale some.
Yeah.
At the same time, still kind of, work hard and follow my dreams and my heart around what I'm creating, but exhale, like, okay, things are actually coming together. Because this is, I'm singing my soul song. That's how I feel. So it feels good.
So you've done the wheel. You've done the Alchemy Wheel work. It sounds as if, to me, that's the bottom line, to get people to be able to even know what their soul song is, be brave enough to sing it, and then sing it joyfully. I mean, yeah. Wow. I just love that you've taken this huge leap of faith, and you left the top of your game English teaching, and you're now providing this amazing set of offerings on your own with 3 Trees. You're both a powerhouse together. I can't even imagine what a retreat with the 2 of you is like, and I will be coming to one. There's no doubt in my mind.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, it is definitely, it's an experience, and it's also an experience, working with another person, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You don't realize until you start to do it, but it's just, we both love what we do. And that it just shows, and I feel like when we can get into our hearts more and more and really build our resilience, and in a gentle way. I want to, make sure that I add that, because it's not about toughing it through, and then we continue to expand. So many things are possible, and and you're happier. Isn't this the happiness retreat? I mean,
It
you're happier.
sure is.
Yeah, like, when you're happier, it doesn't mean things are perfect, but when you're happier, you're empowered. And when we're empowered, we're out there doing,
Unstoppable.
yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I could just sit and talk with you for hours, and I know we don't have that kind of time, but so we're going to give your information of your website,
Yep.
and how else can people find you? Where else can they find you?
So I am on Facebook, Alchemic Rise. I do have I have a personal page that's public, a public page. All my stuff's public, but
Okay.
but I do have Alchemic Rise
Yes.
is my Facebook business page, and then I'm also on Instagram as well. So I also have an Alchemic Rise on Instagram, and then my website is alchemicrise.com. So, and I want to say just a really quick bit about the name, if I could.
Oh, absolutely. Please do.
So. So I came up with the name because for me, alchemy has always been about like bringing everything together that you're dealing with, leaving nothing out, right?
Mm.
And I feel like and I can certainly speak just for myself, right? I couldn't leave any trauma out. I couldn't leave any of the hardship out. Like I had to bring in the joy and then the tough stuff too. And when you do that, and you really don't leave anything out, it's like that Jaguar medicine of the West, you really face it all, right? There's a sweet transformation that happens. And so that's partly where the name came from, like alchemic, like a rise, right? So you rise up once you've done your alchemy.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So it's your path of transformation.
What's that?
It's your path of transformation.
Yeah.
You do the alchemy work and then you rise up.
Yeah.
Wow. That's stunning. I wish I was a teacher. I wish I could go through your class to learn how to be a teacher that goes in and teaches this, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm excited for that piece because I'm going to be able to reach more, right?
Yeah.
Reach certainly more kids.
Yes.
But that's a process, like anything. I mean, there's a process that needs to, get created so that it's done. There's a space that needs to be held so that it's really done energetically, right? Yeah. So, but it's coming. It is going to come and be available. So, yeah.
I hope you will be willing to come back and visit us 6 months from now or a year from now and give us an update on all the fabulousness that you've birthed into this world that so needs to be here.
Yeah, I would love that.
Greta, thank you for joining us today. I mean, I treasure all of your insights and wisdom, and everything you have given to us today has been so informative. And I know there are going to be many people going to the many different venues where they can find you and chatting you up to.
I'm looking forward to it.
To work with you.
Cool.
Thank you. You're one of my favorite people, and you're just a doll and a love. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This has been awesome. It just has me get real present to my work, because I'm always in it.
Right.
It's times when you're busy just to really step back and really integrate, like, wow, what happened, and I do, but I've been real busy lately. So it's just kind of like, it's great. Thank you. Cause it's super sweet for me to just get present to my work. And yeah.
I love it. Win-win.
Yep, for sure.
And to everyone watching, I want to thank you for joining us for this episode of the Happiness Retreat. I hope you have gotten some inspiration, some motivation, some guidance, and some clarity in your connection with your soul and becoming the master of your own energy. So until next time, peace and love.
Yes, blessings.
Thank you.